Hi, Brenda here, one queen. Still no joker, thankfully. Sarah and I recorded our most recent podcast, but did not do an intro or an outro. So I am here to do the intro while she's resting up after being under the weather. This episode, we're talking about the concept of limerence and how it relates to narcissistic abuse and to the survivors of narcissistic abuse specifically. So I hope you find it interesting. Did a lot of research on the topic and found it to be quite the accurate word to use for what we experience. So happy listening, and I hope you enjoy. So I just wrote this blog over the weekend because I've been seeing this term limerence everywhere, which is not a new term by any stretch of the imagination. And it's been used to describe different things psychologically speaking over time. But I did a bunch of research on it because I'm really fascinated about what limerence means in narcissistic relationships. And the more research I did on it, the more I was just like, this is the perfect word to describe. I know what happened with me and the Joker. I'm guessing probably with you too, and everyone who's had not only just a romantic relationship with a narcissist, but also children who have narcissistic parents or just any relationship. The limerence is really this kind of over the top idealization. And this is the blog post that's on my website, which I can't scroll from that screen. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to put the screen down in a minute, but I just want to have this part available for people to see it, and I'll read it too. But limerence is a psychological term for intense emotional infatuation. It's marked by obsessive, intrusive thoughts about the other person, extreme emotional highs and lows depending on attention or rejection, which is the part of that abuse cycle, idealization of the other person, often ignoring the red flags that are telling us they're not worthy of idealizing, and a desperate craving for reciprocation. Reciprocity. That was going to be reciprocity or whatever. Let me say that one again. A desperate craving for reciprocation. So that is the idea of limerence. Actually, I think I am going to keep it up.
Can you read that next sentence? Or I can, because I think that is totally on the mark, because it says healthy attachments, limerence feels more like an addiction. And that is spot on.
Yep.
Yes.
And we've talked about this addiction cycle, I think, and I have 2 blog posts on the addiction cycle on this website, thenarctrauma.com, that talks about like the dopamine and that, the happy chemicals in the brain that your brain gets flooded with when we're getting that attention or the love bombing. And then there's like a drought, which is the same thing. Like if you're addicted to a substance, you get that high and then it wears off and then you're in this kind of negative space. And this is the same thing. And I think to me, that's a very powerful thing that happens to us and to notice.
Yeah, and I think it's
yes.
good that you put that in your blog, because most of us aren't addicts and we don't realize that when we're going through. So we don't understand that that's the addiction, because there's the highs, and then we have the drastic lows of that relationship. But we remember the highs, and we're craving those highs and our body wants it. Our body wants it. And then when we get it, oh my gosh, we're so elated. We're so happy. And we want to keep that we want to keep that feeling. So we become addicted to that feeling. And
yep.
People who aren't in the scale of addiction in any kind don't realize that that is an addiction.
Yes. It really is. This cycle is exactly what addiction is. It's that whole cycle.
That's why we get trapped, because I don't think we understand.
Yes.
Sorry.
And people blame themselves. No, please. I figured you would probably relate to this. I figured it would resonate with you. But I think, again, people blame themselves so much. People who have children that stayed in these relationships. I think that's where I see the most guilt. But you have to recognize all of the things that are going on here. And to get to this level with this limerence, you've been groomed like crazy to be at this point, right? They're purposely trying to gain favor with you and have, and it turns into control very quickly. And this is such a good way to control another person, to keep them kind of aching for that connection in a way that's literally biological. Yeah, it's wicked. The thing I like, and this is really what I wanted to talk to you about too, but the thing I like about the way limerence is described in everything that I've read when I was researching this is that the attraction is sort of next level. And you and I have both described that we each thought the Joker was the love of our life. I thought there was nobody else in the world for me like him. You know, that would never happen again after we were apart. And I know you've said something similar. It's because of this. It really is.
Yes.
Let me see if, and this is something, so the impact on, well, let me see. I mean, this part here, this shifting cycle, that's the abuse cycle, and I have I've got, like, pictures of this everywhere, but I have a little graph in one of my blog sites or blog posts here
Mhm.
too about that addiction cycle, and I'll put it at the end or as an attachment here when I post this. But that whole piece is about that addiction cycle, the love bombing, and then after that's done, there's kind of a lull, and then the tension starts to build, and then there's like discard um, or silent treatment, something something negative, and then it just kind of goes in this cycle. The part I want to get to is the impact on the kids and the impact on the partners, because I think it's good for each and every single one of us to understand. Okay, so let me read this about how narcissists create limerence. So, narcissists are expert at pulling people into limerence. In the beginning, they overwhelm their partner with attention, praise, and promises, commonly known as love bombing. We've all heard that, I'm sure. This floods the survivor's brain with euphoria. So, that's that flood of like dopamine, the happy chemicals get flooded in our brain. Then the cycle shifts. The narcissist withdraws, criticizes, or becomes cold. Or even during the love bombing, I think a lot of people have experienced something like backhanded compliments. Especially once you've been with them for a little while, they can't give you a true compliment. There's got to be like a if you only lost weight, you'd be pretty, something like that.
I love that when that outfit looks really good on you, but you can tell you've put on a few pounds.
Now, our
Yeah,
shared
infuriating.
narcissist is, yeah, very appearance focused.
Very much so.
The cycle.
Mm, exactly.
Okay, so the
Yeah.
narcissist withdraws, criticizes, or becomes cold. Instead of leaving, the survivor clings harder, desperate to return to the magical early days or just the euphoric times. The intermittent reinforcement, unpredictable rewards followed by punishment creates a trauma bond. And that intermittent reinforcement, I say this all the time. It's such an important thing for us to understand because this is what happens in narcissistic relationships. Intermittent, intermittent reinforcement is the strongest reinforcer, positive, negative, we've heard those. Intermittent is the strongest, and it's the same as the slot machines. And I know I've talked about this on the podcast before too. But you think about, like, you get a little bit of a reward on a slot machine, and that's like, oh, I'm going to put more money in because then I'm going to get even more back. It's the same concept, the absolute same concept. So we have to understand too how strong intermittent reinforcement is. It is incredibly powerful. Ask any casino in the world. This is how they make their money.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and this too, I think, is really important because one of the other things I wanted to talk, maybe we'll do this for our next podcast. I was thinking about talking about, did they ever really love us? But I thought this is a nice little preface to that, perhaps understanding whether or not we were in love. Like, was it really love? And I put on here, the survivor isn't in love. They are trapped in limerence. I think I have definitely believed I was madly in love with him. But I've done so much like deconstructing my relationship with him over the years. I certainly know it's not healthy, but when I've thought about like almost an obsession with him, I realize that's not love, right? It's definitely feel like it's attachment wound behavior. But like I said, this concept of limerence really kind of puts the right word to how I have felt anyway.
Yeah.
So,
I definitely agree. I don't know how
Yeah.
much was love and how much was limerence, because you just introduced me to that word, and I've just been doing the research since you shared your blog. So
Yeah.
definitely going to have to do some digging within
Some
me.
soul searching.
Some
It's
soul
been a
searching.
it's been a powerful frame for me to see this. And I was thinking about earlier, like, it's been a rough month or so, right? And I was trying to think, do I have the capacity to talk about whether or not he ever really loved me? I don't know. I don't know if I have the strength to do that right now. And even thinking about limerence, even thinking about like, I feel like with limerence, you kind of fool yourself, not intentionally, but it's like, why couldn't I have seen through all of this? Why, again, it's the regret about the lost time, what our kids were exposed to, and all of this just because we thought that this was love and this is how relationships go. And we have to put up with it, for the kids or whatever reason.
It feels like we were taken advantage of, but we just didn't know it. But
Yeah.
looking back now, you can slap ourselves because you can totally see it looking back. But while you're in it, like you always tell me, while you're in it, you're like in it. You have to take it from outside to actually see in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe we should
Yeah.
wait a little bit to think about the next podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least,
We'll do.
yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, because that's really digging in.
It is.
Wow.
It is. I think about that a lot, and it's still pretty heartbreaking to me to think about it. When I think about this, though, which is why I think limerence is a good preface for that topic, did he really love us? This helps me take a little bit more accountability, and not accountability in like, "Oh my god, I asked for this," or anything like that, but just like some accountability is not the right word. I just think understanding what I was going through a little bit better, where I was in my life, like what I needed, things I've talked about on the podcast before, having my second child with him and, thinking I already messed up the first relationship with my daughter's father. I need to make this one work. Right. And there was just so much there. And then add all of this to it. It just layer upon layer upon layer of just messed upness. Right. It really is.
Yeah.
S So, I am going to read the next little part. So, the impact, again, for a partner, limerence is devastating. It distorts reality. The relationships feel like both heaven and hell, making it nearly impossible to walk away because you may be in hell, but you're not gonna give up heaven because you're just waiting for that part to come along again. It breeds self-blame. Survivors internalize rejection, believing if they were better, and I say that in quotation marks, the affection would return.
That's a big one right there. Yeah. That's a big one.
Oh, if I'd only done this, then maybe that wouldn't have happened.
If I only listened better, if I
Mm,
only thought the way he thought, you know, if I, you can't,
yeah,
you say that until you're blue in the face.
yeah. And it's still wrong because no matter what we did, it would still turn out the way it did for both of us, unfortunately, and for probably everybody that's listening. So also for partners, destroys identity. To hold on to the relationship, they sacrifice their needs, boundaries, and sense of self. I think that sense of self also gets chipped away because they keep telling you what you think is wrong, right? That's what gaslighting is. Like your
Well, you
reality.
lose yourself, you lose your friends, you lose your family, you lose essentially your whole being. You don't even remember who you are.
Mhm.
Your little
No, it's
world has to
hurtful.
focus around this individual, or
Mhm.
the hell comes out. The hell part of your fun relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. And how much time have we spent trying to keep the peace, right? Like just not even having the highs and lows, but just trying to have some stability.
Yes.
That plays a big role in what happens here too. Then another impact on partners is that it triggers nervous system chaos, which is a huge deal. And partners live in constant anxiety, hypervigilance, looking for signs of love or abandonment constantly. So we're just always on edge. And then I didn't put this in here, but I think we spend a lot of time in survival mode too. So even when we're not in this hypervigilant mode, like say, like I used to be so glad when he would go out, I would just have some time alone and some peace. And it would just be like, yes, please go. I didn't care what he did, just go. But even then, you're just like, you're trying to recuperate from all of this. It's not like, oh, I can let my hair down and breathe, right? You're just trying to find a reset.
I remember doing that towards the middle, towards the end of,
Mm,
yeah, please go out with the band. Please go out with your friends. And then you get those couple hours, but those whole couple hours in the back of, at least in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, how's he going to come home? Is he going to be
yeah.
Dr. Jekyll? Is he going to be Mr. Hyde? What am I going to deal with? What are the kids going to see?
Yep.
So you crave him being away, but it's even scarier for the fact that he's going to come back.
Yes. Right. There's that anticipatory anxiety.
Yes.
Like you said, which version of him is going to show up? Yeah. And they're mostly bad versions.
Yes.
I definitely want to talk about this part, what it does to children. And this part I'm talking about younger children. And then I have another section there about adult children because both are significant. But children of narcissists are not immune to this cycle, of course. They experience a form of parent child limerence when affection, approval, or basic safety is inconsistent. Imagine how much that messes with a developing brain. When the parent is loving and present, the child feels safe, wanted, and even euphoric, which is like pretty darn happy.
Yes.
But when the parent withdraws, criticizes, or rages, the child feels worthless and desperate to regain closeness. So, very similar to what the partner experiences.
Very
Again,
much.
the
They want to have the happy dad, the approving dad, the dad
Mhm.
that wants to spend time with them.
Yeah,
But more and more, they're getting the angry, bitter, has nothing nice to say. It's always a snide comment to them or how they could have done something better or how he would have done it.
yeah, yeah,
So it's a horrible
yeah.
situation. It's horrible because the children, it's horrible for anybody. Don't get me wrong. But to have your children grow up in that,
It's
really,
devastating.
yeah, it really is. And for
Yeah,
them to doubt their self-worth,
yeah.
one of the
So
hardest things a mom can look at. My children are getting stronger and more self-aware, and they know that they deserve better, but, like, you question some of their relationships because I'm like, "I see you're going towards somebody who is like the Joker."
yeah,
And it's a hard lesson to learn when they're adults and, they need to learn on their own, and you can only express how you feel or give your opinion, and if they want it, they want it, if they don't, they don't.
right.
You see the cycle repeats itself sometimes, and it's scary.
Absolutely. It is. I've seen that with my kids too. Some pretty bad relationships for them, although they're both not good and very healthy ones now. So it's not all doom and gloom, but I think, yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to impact them, right?
You want them to move outside of what they were raised in. You want them to learn that they don't have to be that. They don't have to, have the high and low all the time, of always craving that high because constantly you're getting that low. That's not a normal, healthy relationship.
Right.
That's limerence.
Limerence. Yeah. Yeah, it is. So the next little part is about adult children of narcissists. So but the other part of this is to know for everyone to know that as I mentioned, like both of my kids are in pretty healthy relationships right now. So there things can change. It doesn't have to just be the cycle that goes generation after generation. Things can change. younger people are so good about attending to their mental health these days too. I think that's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
But so for adult children, I mean, what we see is a distorted self-worth, a distorted sense of their own worth. Their sense of value often hinges on how others respond to them, making rejection or disapproval feel catastrophic. Like it's something goes wrong in one of their relationships, and it's like it is full blown, like stage 5 emergency, right?
Yeah, we've been
It,
through one or two of those. So we're trying to show how to deal with that better. How, I don't even know how to explain it.
well, I think finding their way, right? Finding what works and doesn't work.
Yeah.
I know. I know. Our children talk to each other and they talk to us, and they get a lot of support. So,
Yes, they do. I'm glad they have each other.
yeah,
So
I'm glad they do too. And
yeah,
even with I think the age gap helps. I really
definitely.
do. Yeah. But I think they're really good at talking to you and I too. So I I hope that continues and even grows,
Me
with
too.
all 5 of them. Yeah.
Especially with the young one coming into the teenager years.
Especially that. Yes. High school and all that goes, oh yeah, all that goes with it. Yeah. So here's another one. I've definitely seen this with both of my children and one of yours.
Yes.
So, and
100%.
well, and the oldest one too. The oldest, the one that we are not the mother of,
Yes.
very much so.
Calm is not something that their relationships thrive in when they were younger.
No.
I think that, like, uh, Sis and Ian, I think now that they're older and set, and they thrive in that calm. They seek that calm more.
Yes.
Now, Thomas, I'm like, you don't have to be on 24 hours a day. It's not an exciting roller coaster 24 hours a day. That doesn't
No.
make your relationship a good relationship.
It's
You got to be able
exhausting.
to, yeah. I'm like, you got to be able to relax together. You got to be able to, be able to tell that other person, dude, my social battery is tapped. I,
Yes.
I need to just give me an hour, give me a day, whatever it is. You need to be able to do that. It's not boring if you don't spend every second together or
Yeah.
running around doing stuff all the time. Just sitting down, like, sit down, read a book, watch a TV show. I don't know,
Yeah.
something that's,
Play a
I think,
game, do so. Yeah.
yeah,
It's just something calm.
yes.
Yeah, but I think I don't know if I talked about, like, well, I mean, you can see why that happens, right? It's what they have seen, it's what they're used to. Their nervous system is used to running on a higher level, like faster, because because of the hypervigilance that all of us have been in. And I would say probably the same for you and me. After the Joker, like I can't remember. I dated somebody before Carrie, and he was very much like the Joker. In hindsight, I would definitely see that, but not in that time. I really didn't. Plus, he wore this really great cologne, and I'm not a big cologne person, but the smell just was like
It's
it
intoxicating.
was intoxicating. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I think there was still that attraction to the chaos, even though I was kind of moving on, but the chaos was there in that relationship too. And
I
then I
think
met
I'm
Carrie.
still, yeah, like that. I'm still, because I went from the Joker to the next one, and that was chaos, not as bad as the Joker,
Hmm.
but I think it's because it's familiar.
For sure.
I
Yeah.
I I'm used to those highs, I'm used to those lows, I'm used to um, bad behavior and just wiping the slate clean and saying, okay, today's a new day. We're
Yeah.
not gonna, yeah. So that's why right now, because I working on myself, so I don't get back into that same thing.
Definitely. Yeah.
it might just be me, but it feels like you're drawn to that type of person because with the Joker, it was 25 plus years. And then with this next one, it was like 2 years. And I'm like, wow, I am picking almost the same person. I need to stop and look inside. I need to heal
Yeah.
so I don't do
Yeah.
this again.
Oh, yeah. And that part's really very, very important because I think I mentioned before, like, when when I when Carrie and I got together, it was really saying I'm going to find somebody completely the opposite, which I did, you know, but I didn't
Mhm.
do the work on myself. So it didn't matter. I mean, it was probably good to find completely the opposite, but there was a huge missing piece there that I didn't start doing the work until many years later. Right. And I'm still doing the work. It's a long process, but there's successes along the way.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
And finding out who I am again. And it's
yeah,
okay that I'm alone. I'm happy.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot to that.
Mhm.
Just having that level of independence and not having to answer to somebody after so many years of someone trying to control you. And that sounds glorious.
Yeah, I have to say it's very nice.
I'm sure it is. I never did that for myself, and I wish I would have. You know, I'd probably be a lot farther along in my own healing journey if I had done that.
I
Yeah.
mean, don't get me wrong, there's days that, you wish you had somebody there to talk to
Yeah.
or help with the bills, kind of thing, and then I think, "Not worth it. That's
No.
not nope, I'll do it myself, thank you."
Yep. Too much of a price to pay at this point.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree with
absolutely.
that completely. I wanted to say a little bit more because that attractness to the intensity, just the description that I put here, the calm, steady relationships might feel boring while chaotic and emotionally unpredictable partners feel familiar or even intoxicating. That's what we're talking about in that part. And then the hyper responsibility, I think this part is really important too for children of narcissistic parents because many become people pleasers, scanning for shifts in mood and adjusting themselves to keep others close. And that goes with, whether you're at work, at Costco, it doesn't matter. You're doing that all the time,
Mhm.
getting out of the way, saying, I'm sorry, like way too many times. Things like that. That's what happens. Probably not for everybody, but for a lot of us, that definitely
Yes.
happens. I think the next one too, difficulty trusting stability. So, genuine love, which feels consistent and safe, may initially trigger suspicion or discomfort because it doesn't match the template that we grew up with. So, we grew up in a chaotic environment if we had narcissistic parents, and that's what we think is normal. So, finding somebody that's stable and not chaotic, we're like, what are they up to? What's behind that? What do they really mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the low? When's the low
Yeah.
coming? Come
Yeah.
on. You're hiding something. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. The crash has got to be just around the corner.
Mhm. Your
Yeah.
body's just wanting that because that's what it has had for so long. It
Hmm.
feeds off of that.
Definitely. That feels normal, even though you don't want it to feel normal, it just does. It's what you're used to. And then think about too, like if you grew up in a narcissistic home and then had a narcissistic partner and got away from that person. I'm not saying this is you, Sarah, but I'm just saying like if this happens to people and then you go out, so you've had then, and this is very common with the people that I work with. So you have nothing but that example for what a normal relationship is, parent child, and what a normal romantic, normal in quotations, romantic relationship looks like. So it's very impactful. And then that last piece is going to say what I just said, probably. The risk of reenacting the cycle. So, without awareness and healing, adult children are vulnerable to recreating the same dynamics with narcissistic partners, mistaking limerence for love, which is super easy to do in the beginning of the relationship when the love bombing is the strongest. Yeah.
That's my fear for Thomas. Thank God Isabella isn't dating right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally, because your kids grew up around it. They see it. I don't know the right word to use, but they've witnessed it for so long that's what they crave too. The
Absolutely.
highs and the lows and the out of controlness and the instability, and to I want my children to crave healthy.
And they will. They will. They're in this space in their life now with him being gone for 5 years that they are experiencing what a little more stability and calmness and peacefulness feels like, and hopefully that becomes their new norm quickly, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah, it's tough, and it's tough to watch your kids go through that when it's so clear to you what's going on. It's just so hard. And you're right. Like, you can say things till you're blue in the face, but they have to want to hear it, first of all, not slam the door on you, right? Quit
That's
bugging
the
me,
other
mom.
fear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's not easy, but I hope the concept makes sense to people. Thank you for listening to Two Queens and a Joker, My Narcissist Ex and Me. I hope you found this topic to be interesting and relatable. And if you or someone you know is recovering from narcissistic abuse, please remember that we at my practice are all trained in treating survivors of narcissistic abuse and how to heal from these relationships. And you can reach out to us by going to www.narctrauma.com.